the level of dedication that it takes to make things really happen for real. Like, no one sees when you're crying in the shower and like wondering if you should stop doing it. Like, no one sees that part.
Take that out. Please take your emotions out of this work relationship and figure out how we can move better as a unit, as a group of people, because it's easy to throw 5 years, 10 years down the drain because you were emotional. Hey, mic check.
Yeah, we good. Feeling good?
I'm good. I'm good. It's freezing outside, but we're here. Yeah. Warm in here.
Yeah.
So.
It's beautiful. I need y'all to put us on real quick. Really important question. I always need more music. What's a song or album you've had on repeat lately? Yeah, what gets you in that mode?
That's a great question. Wow, I've been into so much right now. I would definitely say, so I just recently put my son and my daughter onto Daft Punk. They just dropped Interstellar 5555 in the theaters for like 2 days, over a weekend, right? It was like you had to go see it. I missed it because I was on tour, but I was like, man, some way I'm gonna have to find out if they can do it again. But Daft Punk Discovery, that album, changed my life, and it's changing my son's life because now he's into electronic music. And like, I'm so proud that like I have kids that are into music like myself, and it's just like, it's kind of like, you know, being like Michael Jordan, seeing your son play basketball type thing. That's how it feels to me. Yeah. So yeah, that's the album I'm into right now. Yeah.
That's fire. You?
I have been listening to a ton of instrumentals, a lot of classical. I have a 1-year-old, she's in the back there, so you gotta watch the content anyway. So I listen to a lot of instrumentals and stuff, but I think lately I came from a classical background, so I've really dipped back into I've had the Bach cello suite like on repeat lately, just while I'm working and stuff. Like, it kind of gives me, it's something in the background that sounds really pretty, but also isn't competing with what I have to do, you know, sort of. And I can have it on the background, it's safe. So
That's beautiful. Yeah, like I use like this app sometimes called like Brain FM, and it's like I use it in the background when I'm designing and things like that, just because you want to have like music that gets you into, doesn't compete with your thoughts, allows you to get into that flow state. So I'm definitely gonna be checking that out, definitely. Okay, so Sango, in addition to being a musician, I know you have a background in graphic design, and to me it makes so much sense as I have a degree in design, you know, dabbled in music a little bit, and I know like even like Tori Moi, he has a background in graphic design, so it's cool like to kind of start seeing those connections and bridges between music and design. But to others, those could be two completely different worlds. So I'm just curious, how has design influenced your process and approach to music? And also, how did you get into DJing and music production?
Wow, man, great layered question right there. I would say, so what came first? I would definitely say visual art came first, because that spoke that's the language I spoke initially. Just tangible, like art that is tangible, colors. I feel like I have synesthesia. I feel like I can like hear something and it color kind of passes type of thing. My son, he's pretty much like the same as me. I feel like he expresses that same emotion as well. So as I grew, I was more into music because I come from a musical family. My mom and my dad always had like a Casio keyboard around the house. My brother and I, we'll mess with it. And then we got into like making beats on the computer that was like donated from like my dad. He worked at this elementary school called Thurgood Marshall in Seattle. It's like a famous like historical Black community like stamp in Seattle, Washington. You know, there's Black people in Seattle if you don't know. So that was in our house. We got into making beats on FL Studio. If y'all don't know, that's like everybody started, you know, on that. So we ended up moving to Michigan when I had to be like 11 years old, I think, at the time.
Okay.
And that's when things changed, because in Grand Rapids was like such a musical home for a lot of people. And it was just so like going to church, you can go to any church. Like I went to Marvin Sapp's church, and going there and seeing like you're getting a free concert every Sunday. You know what I mean? So that turned my switch on, and then taking that home and like being like super inspired to have friends I went to East Kenwood, and having friends inspired me to...
Shout out EK.
Shout out EK, yeah. meeting friends there, and then diving into like having a group structure and like figuring out how I can start recording my own music with people. You know, even some of the guys are day ones in the crowd, like Brandon McCall, aka the Seventh.
Yeah.
You know, he and I were like, we go extremely back. Like he remembers when I was like, my voice didn't even like change yet, you know? So, you know, just growing up in a household as well that was, one, musical, two, like prioritized community, and three, just embraced anyone that was around us. You know, my mom and dad, they would let us play music till like 1 a.m. on a school night, and was like, yo, get your grades right first, but you can do what you want and get your rest, you know? So yeah, that kind of propelled me. And then I had a conversation with one of my close friends. He was like, man, you should DJ. I was like, nah, I want to just make beats. He, no, you should DJ. So what I would do is like, I would come up with these mixes in my house and then like burn CDs with famous acapellas on the radio, like well-known songs, but over my beats. So I would bring them to house parties, and then people are like, what's this? What is this? I guess that's like the earliest I can think of like an edit, like a remix in my eyes, coming from me. And it would circulate around this, like, I remember my CD ended up in Lansing, like at a high school in Lansing. And like, yeah, it just got passed around like a CD. And then it translated to like, I remember I would fill people's MP3 players with music, and I would sneak some of my music on there, and people were like, yo, what's that one song? I'm like, yeah, that's mine, that's me, that's my beats, you know? So I guess that translated to me actually picking up hardware and like testing out and trying out different things as far as DJing. And then when I went to Western Michigan University, and when I was going there, I got more confident into DJ. I would study people like Flying Lotus and like Jay Dilla on how to DJ and how to like DJ as a producer though. Yeah. You know, not just, because I always believe in like having every song that I play as a story, not just something I want to fill the space with, you know? So when I DJ, it's like heavily my music, you know, and that's a proud thing. That's something that I can do. And like recently I was, well, it's controversial because I know there's a controversy behind it, but the biggest moment of my career that had to do with like arrangement and structure and essentially DJing was working on Frank Ocean's Coachella set. And he and I, we came together. He called me and we came together and worked on his set for Coachella. It came out to be something that, if you always remember, it came out to be something that was different. Yeah. But that experience was great because it was like I worked this hard and was this disciplined to make it to this point, to do something so delicate and so important for this person. So yeah, I say all that's my journey from, you know, having that earworm to now being here right now, explaining it to y'all. So.
Oh my, that's great. That's great. And then like, I'm even with the synesthesia part. So I'm just piqued with that interest. I'm just interested in that part as far as, so when you produce, you have like, you can see certain colors as far as, okay, this sounds blue, this sounds green. Are you layering like your tracks even within your interface? You connected that deep?
Yeah, Pharrell actually talked about having that as well. And I feel like it's experience, synesthesia is more than just seeing sounds and colors. And I think it has to do with like cross comparisons with different topics that may not relate with each other, but somehow relate with each other. Like there was like a viral example that explained what synesthesia feels like. It's like when you're in school and you have different subjects and you get a folder for your different subjects and you're like, what color is math? It's red. Math feels like a red. Doesn't math feel like or language arts is green? And some people are arguing, no, language arts is science, or green is science. Like, nah, language arts is green. And then like yellow feels like a history, or like a, yeah, you see, you know what I mean? So
it's deep.
That's essentially what goes on in my head, but with music. So when I hear, oh, there's a song that goes, it's by, oh my gosh, I'm going blank right now. There's a couple of songs that this happens with me, but there is this song that is on Frozen that I played with my daughter. I forget the name of the song, but every time it comes on, like it's bright. It's literally a bright light that I see that feels like it's a crazy, like bright fluorescent pink, like white. I know it's kind of, I'm weird. I'm a weirdo.
Nah, but it's fire. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to explain it to when that happens. I can't really explain it. You know, when I listen to music, that it happens. You know, especially in the studio where I'm trying to explain something to someone, and like, oh, what kind of mood you want? Give me like a nice burgundy brown, you know, A minor chord, seventh, A minor, you know, give me something like that. And they're like, oh, I don't know what that means. It's like, oh, I'll play a song that feels like that. And they're like, oh, I get it. So you're talking about like Anthony Hamilton.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I get it, you know. Yeah.
Amazing. Dre, so yeah, you have a background in DJing and music production too. How'd you become a tech founder and CEO? You know, DJ by night, entrepreneur by day. You're doing both at extremely high level. So I just would like to know, like, I guess from that background, how did you kind of get to your journey now as a CEO? It's just amazing.
Yeah, it was very twisty and windy, but I also came from a musical household. My mom is a very gifted classical pianist. She taught both my brother and I when we were young. So I've been playing instruments since I was like 4 years old. I was in concert band, jazz band, marching band, symphony, like all of the nerdy things. So I took to music at a young age, really liked it. Wasn't really sure what I was gonna do with it, but I knew that I knew it was gonna be something. I just wasn't sure what it is. And also at the same time, I don't ever remember not having a computer in our house. So like I remember when I was really little, like maybe like 4, we had a Commodore 64. And I remember me and my brother like doing the coding. Like that was back when you had to load the games up like yourself. You had to actually like code the games in there yourself and everything. And I really took a liking to that too. And I think, once I got to high school is when I was doing a lot more like composition kind of work. Like I loved working on arrangements for like trios and like quartets and stuff like that. And then that turned into me doing more like digital production. And then I got real into house music and techno, like when I was like 15, 16. And then I just started making my own music. And I too didn't start DJing till later. I was making music and people were like, you should play that out. So I was like, well, shoot, I gotta teach myself how to DJ. So I remember I bought this, it was like a DVD set off of eBay, How to DJ 101 with DJ Shorty and somebody else. And I did that. I got on Craigslist. I bought 2 Technics turntables in this real terrible 2-channel Vestax mixer. And I went to Vertigo and bought 2 of the same records, like 2 of the same house records. And that's how I taught myself how to match beats. So I learned on turntables first. And then like I started getting into more hardware. And really all the time, like all the way through like college, I kind of just had this dual thing going on. Like I was a music major and a business major because my parents were like, yeah, you can't just do music. So I had a double major. And then once I graduated, that's when DJ stuff just kind of started to take off. And I didn't plan that at all. I was fully planning to like get a regular job. I was also an alternate in the symphony at the time. So I was like still doing that. I had no idea that was gonna happen. And the next thing I know, I got like signed to a booking agency and a management agency. And then I started going on tour. And so I was working remote as a developer and traveling all over the place and touring and stuff at the same time. So I think that dual life that was happening just put me in a really bizarre but also wonderful spot for trying to figure out problems to solve in the industry, and there's no shortage of them. I always say, like, if you really want to know how the music industry works, try to go on tour with somebody and just watch everything. Because, like, you start to see where the money is going, who's getting paid, how much they're getting paid, how much people are not getting paid, like, where money just mysteriously disappears to. Like, it's real interesting. And I think after I did that, I was like, okay, I'm like, I think I know something that I can do to help artists not be in these like starving artists. Like, I hate that term, but just these like dire situations where they're often taken advantage of. So I started working on a couple of different applications over, kind of between like 2018 to really 2018 to now. And now, I have Opnr. So we, mostly focus on bringing together performers. Right now, we mostly focus on musicians, but we're about to expand outside of that a little bit to comedy as well. But basically connecting those performers with opportunities for them to actually hit a stage, for real opportunities, paid opportunities. But also we get a lot of data from working with musicians and working with venues and festivals and promoters. And we also get tons of fan data. So we kind of take all this stuff to figure out ways to make sure that artists can own their fan base for real. Because part of what we've all seen over the last, basically since streaming first really dropped, is how little money you actually make off of your music. So you got to make that up with performances. And the only way you do that is if you actually own the data with your fan base, so you can actually connect with them on a regular basis. So yeah, it's been a very winding road from me starting out playing on a piano with my little fingers at 4, until now, like trying to make sure that musicians get a fair shot.
Amazing. We need applause for that. Like that's amazing. And then just like a follow-up on that, I'm wondering, do you still get time to like DJ, produce still with, in amongst like your CEO schedule?
Yeah, I mean, I do, like, obviously not as much as I used to, but I've still been like kind of playing probably about once a month. I'm actually playing next month in January for the World of Winter festival that's downtown. I'm playing for that. But yeah, like you can find me doing stuff. I still play in Detroit a lot, Chicago. But yeah, not as much as I used to, so.
Yeah, but still doing it. I love that. All right, so, I work with a small team currently, and this forces me to wear multiple hats at my current stage, but there's certain tasks that I just, have to delegate, and you can't do everything, and I believe you can go further together. Also, before delegating, I think it's important to do the task yourself. I even read like an article on DoorDash that they require every employee, from engineers to the CEO, to make food deliveries to better understand their product, which I love. That's key. Like, no one is bigger than anyone. And like by the CEOs leading in that way, it's a great example for the entire team. With that being said, what do you believe is the most important trait for a leader? And I ask Dre first, and then want to hear from Sango.
I think it's being adaptable. I always I don't know, when people ask like what my leadership style is, I call it like flexible leadership. I really believe that just because I made a decision on something, 3 months ago, and I said, this is what we're going to do, like, this is the strategy, how we're going to move forward. If I get new data, new information, like, you better believe, like, we're going to, we might need to pivot and change and stuff. Like, I think it's really important to be able to not get so stuck and get in your own way, because sometimes new information means you might have a new path. So you have to kind of be able to, flex and be able to be adaptable and move around stuff.
Amazing, love it.
I would say for me is being able to take criticism. I feel like you gotta, remove your ego to grow, and you have to sort of level out your perspective as well. And what I mean by that is that, like, not seeing so far ahead as well. Sometimes people can get so far in the future that they just miss the small details. And that, like, with the combination of like taking criticism well and slowing things down for the present, I would say those two things are like key with leadership, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. Like the biggest thing and something that can just get in the way of like the best outcomes, innovations are just when people don't leave their ego at the door. And it's just like, at the end of the day, it's all about, we want the best product, we want the best outcome. And you just need people that understand that trait, or else it's extremely limiting and frustrating. So yeah, and I'm sure like the best records we've heard, the best apps that have came out, the best products that are in the world have came from, people checking their ego at the door, working together towards a common goal. And I'm thankful for that. So yeah, I agree completely. Okay, yeah, so this is just so far I'm already inspired. This is just a rare conversation. And both of you, just like you inspire so many others, like whether you know it or not. And I'll give you both of my flowers, both give you your flowers right now, as far as like to say you've inspired me just how you move. And just from like the Boiler Room sets to, Billboard-charting records is crazy, to raising venture capital, like these are all amazing, accomplishments. And I know it's just the beginning, but, just salute to both of you right now. Yeah. So yeah, while I said like you inspired, me and others, who inspired you? Why do you do what you do? And even, where do you continue to draw your inspiration from? Could be just fam, it could be different entrepreneurs, anything,
I got some. I would definitely say this is not as cliche, but I feel like in my opinion, everything starts with the home, because your work is your work, but at home is what that's you. And knowing and learning how to keep a home, and watching my wife keep a home, and learning how to stay organized and step aside and take the back seat, and just seeing how my mom has done that as well, and just watching mothers be so great at what they do, that inspires me. Just motherhood, because it makes me want to be a better father, And my dad, he's a great example of a man in my eyes, and a father, and that trickles down into work, because you bring that attitude and that drive to where you got to go, So
yes, no. Yeah, I can agree. Like, my pops definitely set a great example for me, and just, giving me that confidence just to go do things. I'm always supported by my mom too. So it's just, that home is everything.
The sacrifices.
Yeah, I see it.
I've seen it, and I know about it now.
It took me a second to think of something, but I was up, as parents of 1-year-olds often are, up in the middle of the night. Sometimes once I get up, I can't go back to sleep. So I end up on my phone, endlessly scrolling or randomly reading Wikipedia about stuff. So I don't know if people know who Tabitha Brown is.
Yeah.
But Tab Time, Miss Tab. I love her. But I had kind of known who she was just from the pandemic, that's kind of when her content started to blow up and everything, because she was making all these like videos, like she just sounded like your aunt who was like telling you everything was gonna be okay. And that's like kind of how her content started to build. Now she's got products in Target, and she's got a kids show and all this stuff. But what was, I think, really inspiring to me was I was in the middle of the night reading her story of how she got there, and how rough it was. Like basically she, they had moved out west, were struggling. She was trying to break into acting, had some small roles, but it was really tough. Ended up like driving an Uber like for a long time. And then when the pandemic hit is when she started kind of creating her own content. And from there it was like, but I think just watching her journey, you could tell how authentic she was and how herself she was. And so it's been cool to kind of watch that shine through no matter what medium, she's like creating content for, whatever it is, whether it's the stuff like for kids or the products in the stores or food and cookbooks and this and that, whatever it is, it's always her. Like it very much shines through. And I think, for people who decide to use themselves as their own brand, it can be tough sometimes because then you can't separate yourself from it. But I think when you do it in a really authentic way, it works. And so she's been just a really cool story to watch. Then that hasn't been that long ago, really, that she, really got going in that arena.
So true, so true. That's great. Okay, my next question. To accomplish anything substantial, you need to persevere. You need, perseverance is so key. So what has allowed you to push through storms or turbulent times? And I just keep it, open-ended. I even know like you went through Techstars while pregnant, which is like amazing in itself, which is cool. But yeah, just bring it back one more time. To accomplish anything substantial, you need to persevere. What has allowed you to push through storms or turbulent times?
Well, in short, God. But
amen.
Yeah. But I'll talk about a story that happened very recently in 2022. I had a detached retina and in my right eye, and my left eye had a tear in my retina because I have crazy bad vision, and that happens. So the doctor was saying, your eyes are like your eyes are like a 60-year-old eyes, 70-year-old eyes. Like, what? And you're going blind in both eyes. Like, oh, wait, I'm going blind? And they were like, yes, you have to get surgery immediately. So yeah, I was done. Like the whole rest of 2022, I was done. I couldn't fly because you needed to be at an elevation, pressure. There's things that come from it. I still deal with things. I don't have perfect vision. I have bad vision right now, actually. Like, yeah, it's pretty bad. Things are distorted. And this eye corrects everything. And I was like, I had my family really holding me down. That was a big hump in my life. And I was worried that I wouldn't be able to like do the music that I was doing, And just going through that just taught me that, the simplest thing that you like do every day is like, you don't take it for granted. Yeah, it was a lot, but we made it, and God is good.
All the time.
2022 must have been the year for craziness, because so we like relaunched everything with Opnr in 2021. 2022, we're like ready to hit the ground running. Got accepted to 2 startup accelerators. I decided like a crazy person to double up on both of them at the same time. So I was in Techstars and Conquer Accelerator at the same time. I found out 3 weeks before Techstars was So 3 weeks before Techstars was starting, one of my best friends died from breast cancer. The same day I found out that we were having a baby. Me and my husband were having a baby. And then everything just like kind of went nuts from there. I ended up having complications pretty early on. I ended up in the hospital the week before Techstars started. I ended up having a miscarriage like the first couple weeks, like while all this stuff was going on. I had to have surgery a month later, and like wrapped up Techstars at the end of the year. It was just a crazy time. And like, I look back now and I'm like, I don't even really know how I like navigated through all that and still was able to get anything done, frankly, like just kind of keep going. But like coming all the way back around then, in 2023, 3 months later, boom, I'm pregnant. So, and then the baby's back there. So everything was fine, but like you navigate and you work through stuff. Like Sango was saying, like it truly is like having a relationship with God to stabilize you through, things like that, having family, having friends. But I think also just like being able to maintain a focus, in times where things get very unsure, like where things are very, shaky, but being able to kind of like maintain whatever stability you can around you to just keep going. So
amazing. And like when you say maintaining that focus, is maintaining it on maybe what specifically? Is it on those things that you spoke about, like your family, God, et cetera?
Yeah, I think it's, for me, for sure, like family is a huge part of it. Like I think, my parents, they don't live here. They live in South Haven, but I go, everybody knows, like I go to my parents' house every Friday. I work from there every Friday. They hang out, with the baby, and then I catch up on conference calls and all this stuff. So I think because I consistently see them all the time, so I'm consistently getting like good vibes, from mom and dad on a regular basis, and just encouragement, being uplifted, realizing that you're not always in everything alone. Because honestly, entrepreneurship like is great in so many ways, but it is also a very isolating and a very lonely journey because frankly, nobody cares about what you're doing like you do. Like people support you and stuff, like don't get me wrong, but when you're in it, it is really hard to talk about like everything that's happening. And typically people around you don't quite understand the level of dedication that it takes to make things really happen for real. Like no one sees when you're crying in the shower and like wondering if you should stop doing it. Like no one sees that part. So like it really takes, also like kind of having a community of people around you that are kind of doing the same thing, that helps to, have somebody to bounce things off of. And again, like help keep you uplifted because stuff does not always go smooth. Like usually it doesn't, frankly. It's surprising when it does.
I get that for sure. You got to stay positive and keep it moving. Someone out there listening that's going through a tough time, especially like even the holidays, like it could be tough for people. And also if they're maybe having like a troubled time believing in themselves and just maybe can't take the next step in what they're doing, like what would you tell them, as far as encouragement to keep going and things like that?
I would tell them something I was telling myself.
Yeah.
And I will always tell myself, you're not alone, but also you need to get out of your head because like, what are you going to do? You know what I mean? Like sit here and like just be depressed for the rest of your life, So it's important to have a support group though, because some people don't really have them. And that's where you really feel isolated. And it's a privilege to have that, So yeah, I feel like I used just being grateful about my situations and just being reminded that, I have my eyesight now, and going through wearing the eye patches, looking crazy, scaring my daughter, looking like pirate, they always, she was like, you look like a pirate, Dad. Just like, yeah, it's kind of insensitive a bit, but you're either gonna suffer or not change things, or pick yourself up and ask for help at least, and change the trajectory of what's going on, So yeah, I mean it's okay to feel those emotions through and through, but they have to come to an end before you crumble. Because the end goal is to unplug yourself from the thing that you're doing, So, yeah.
Yeah, I think honestly, like just do it. Because it is like, was that saying like, if not now, then when? If not me, then who? Because nobody's coming to save you. Like, to be perfectly honest, like and like, it's uncomfortable, like doing stuff that has either never been done before or not, at least maybe not been done the way that you're doing it. You kind of have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. I think the sooner you get used to like feeling that tension, but also get used to the feeling of like busting past it, like what that feels like, it's a lot easier every time to be able to do that. So yeah, some of it is just, it's like anything else. It's like a muscle you have to keep kind of working out. And then once you get used to doing it, it's a lot easier to do it. Like you don't realize you're doing it anymore. And you'll look back and be like, man, like I didn't even know I did all that. Like cause I always think like, man, like I wish we had done this year. Like I wanted to move so much faster. I wish we had done this. I wish we had done that. Like I wish we had met with these people or we had grown by this much. Like never think that it's enough. But when I just finished our 2024 like year-end update of everything that, you know, basically we worked on and how we grew and all that, like gathered all the numbers and stuff. And so I reviewed the whole year, like went through all the meetings and stuff like that I had, all the meetings with investors and people I tried to meet with for strategic partnerships and stuff. And I was like, oh, I'm like, dang, we did all that, like with no money. Like, so it is like, I think the more you get used to just breaking through it, you don't even realize that it's actually happening. It just becomes like a muscle memory kind of thing, but it can help you a lot.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, that perspective is key. You made me think about even like choosing your heart too. Like it can be difficult to, you know, be stuck where you at, but it's also can be difficult to push through and go to the next level. So you just gotta like choose like what do you want? Because either way, it's gonna be some type of you know, difficulties on that path. So, and I choose to, you know, strive and trust God and reach forward and keep going, you know? So that's great. So I don't even like to acknowledge these people, honestly. I like to focus on the love, but let's talk about the haters real quick. Very quickly, keep it brief. Yeah, so how do you block out negativity and all the outside noise?
Can I go first, Dre?
Sure.
Get it.
I'm fresh off beef right now. I'm fresh off some beef. It might, shoot, I think it's still kind of, you know. But it's funny though, because I feel like every time I've been in situations where I've been in this typical situation, in this like this tight situation, I've always been the mediator. I've always been the mediator of things, even what's going on in my life, you know, now and present, in the past. Like, it's never been just me versus this person. It's always been, oh, I'm stuck in the middle, and then now I gotta choose a side because I'm not gonna be neutral. Because if somebody's wrong, somebody's more wrong than the other person. That's how I look at things. Yeah. Like somebody's gonna win and someone's gonna lose the argument, you know. But we're gonna learn from this, and dealing with that negativity, because there is negativity in it. And one thing I've learned is that when you hear everyone's point of view out, even yours, like, you know, if you're the one dealing with the beef, it's important to just understand that when you're in the heat of the moment, emotional, especially if it's work related, take that out. Please take your emotions out of this work relationship and figure out how we can move better as a unit, as a group of people, because it's easy to throw 5 years, 10 years down the drain because you were emotional. And people don't, like you said, the pride thing, people just don't realize that, like, oh, they just threw away an opportunity, or they threw away a chance to even grow further or build a deeper bond, and they just threw it away. So just think before you say stuff. That's simple. Just, I'll tell you something really funny. My grandpa used to say, rest in peace. He's like old school, Chicago gangster. You know, he would say stuff crazy. He would say, man, you know what, man? I'm trying to do his voice right. You know what, man? You can't put toothpaste back in the tube, man. He would say that, and what that meant was once you say it or do it, you can't undo it, you know. So I always stuck with me, you know. So just tread lightly and just be meticulous with your words, you know. So that's dealing with haters at 101.
Yeah, no taking, for real. Okay, yeah, I said we done with them. So now, how do you stay in a healthy space and prioritize your mental health? So that's for either of y'all.
Do I know? No, I think for me, probably the best two ways, like working out for sure has been like it's been like a staple, especially the last few years, like with when you have a startup, there is just so much stress that like you have to get it out, and you have to also learn how to manage that stuff. You're going to be in situations, frankly, that you just never dealt with. Like everything is sort of new. You're going to end up in rooms with people you never thought you would be meeting with, which can lead to just a lot of anxiety, frankly. And so it takes some time, I think, to kind of learn how to manage that. Deep breathing exercises, like before, big meetings, big pitches and stuff like that. I'll be in the bathroom, like doing box breathing and stuff, whatever works. But I definitely think, working out and practicing everything also that you're doing, I really feel that like practicing, rehearsing, like all of that, again, it's like that muscle memory. Like the more you just get used to talking about your company or what you do, what you're trying to do, it's not hard anymore. Like if you end up in an elevator with a person that you're like, oh, this is my shot, like you'll be ready, then. So I think again, it's working out for expending that like pent up energy, learning how to do whatever deep breathing meditation stuff you got to do before really stressful situations, practicing, and then also just like tapping out, like being in nature as much as, I possibly can. Like I'm an outdoor person, even in the winter. But like I love in the summer, like riding bike, going to the beach, like just walking and just trying to be outside. I think all those things kind of help to just reset, and make sure that you're not just living as a ball of stress 24/7.
Word up. Yeah, it's key. Like working out is great, that routine. Nature is key. Definitely like implemented, like even in my life, just like how I wake up every day. Okay, it's like pray, or we're gonna meditate 10 minutes. We're gonna read like 20 minutes of a self-development book, and you just kind of feel like you already got that win, and it puts you in that space. So yeah, I'm taking notes for sure. We'll get to an audience question. So yeah, people that RSVP, they were able to, submit a question. And so one of I got is for both of you. How did you learn how to maneuver through the world of marketing, both online and offline? And really kind of how I see it is, how do you cut through the noise and connect with your audience? There's so much going on, competing for our attention, just a tip for, cutting through the noise. In this hyper-saturated world, it can be at times where it seems like that.
That's a great question. I'm not particularly well-versed for marketing, but I do have friends that help a lot, like to get me to understand what, their point of view and how they can help me. What I've learned is that sometimes putting so much into something and you don't see how much you're like, for example, money. Putting money into something and you're like to the point where you're like be afraid or scared to spend that much, is that like sometimes you can't just really worry about that, and taking that risk is rewarding because you're investing in yourself. It's not like you're throwing the money away, so exactly. That to answer that question, it's just don't forget to realize that this is about this is about your idea. You're not just literally getting throwing away money, so.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I can kind of, because I agree with you. And like, I think even just to piggyback on that a little bit, like I had to kind of change, you kind of have to change your viewpoint of how you think about money. Like in terms of what you're saying, like instead of thinking of it as this, which it is, so like you don't want to get too crazy, but like instead of thinking of it as just this finite resource that you're trying to hold on to and save as much as humanly possible for like growth, whether it's your brand, like as a person, as a musician, or like as a business, like you have to change that whole mindset, flipping on its head. And then money becomes fuel, like for growth. It becomes the gasoline that you pour on the fire to make the fire bigger, to make it grow. And that is a really hard concept to fully grasp onto when you have limited resources. But it is one that's critical, because it's like that risk versus reward thing. Like you kind of do have to bite the bullet and be able to pour something in one side to see what's gonna come out of the other side. But I think that was probably one of the hardest things over my journey with business in general, just even over the last 10 years, is really wrapping your head around money is not a resource to hang on to. It's a resource to use to grow. Like it's kind of scary.
Yes, no. Sure. So we got another question, and it's a question of discernment. So someone said, it says as you get older, you have less friends. How do you decide who belongs in your future and who doesn't?
I don't decide. You just wither away, or you stick around long enough because you visibly like or care enough, and if you can't keep up with my speed and you're visibly still here, like I said, you're gonna wither away, because you can easily see people that are just sticking around because they see where you're going. But if you can't keep up, then it shows. Like, oh, you haven't been keeping your pace. You're just too busy watching other people. So yeah.
I agree. Like Lauryn Hill said, seasons change, mad things rearrange. Because like the older you get, stuff happens. Stuff fills up your plate. You've got business stuff happening. You might get married, have a family. That dramatically changes stuff and like friendship groups. But like usually the day ones like will still be there, So like, but I completely agree with you. Like some people will wither away.
We day ones.
Yeah, I know. We go way back. But yeah, like some people will wither away. And like, to be honest, like sometimes that's, okay. Like I think there's a cycle, to these things. And sometimes those people also come back around too, so.
See, have you ever had to like, intentionally maybe, step back in situations, or I guess that's the biggest thing, like really set your own boundaries in that way?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I have. Yeah. Even for others.
Yeah.
Like my wife says, hey, that person doesn't need to be around. Why not?
Good one.
Listen to me. Oh, 3 years later. Okay, I'm glad I listened to her.
We be knowing. Just saying, we do. We be knowing. But no, I think it's for sure, like once you have a family, you become very different too about those boundaries. Like they become very serious because again, you got limited time, limited resources. So if people are acting up, they don't need to be around. Like
I feel it. Okay, and another one from the audience is, what is the first thing to master as a beginner DJ?
I low-key kind of missed the music questions. We haven't talked about
Yeah, I know. We had to bring it back real quick.
Man, what'd you think, Dre? What'd you think?
Number uno.
Just the number one?
Identity. What you want to play. What do you like to play?
That's key.
Some people, they just don't know what they like, even like. They just, I want to play music. Okay, what though? What defines you? When people like go to see you, or when you're playing a club or a situation or a room, how are you going to move that room and with what music and how? It's your language.
I think it's like the art of reading people, like really being able to like read a room, because not every set is the same. Like sometimes you might be opening like for somebody, and depending on what their style is, like the opening set to me is the most important one. Like it is the one that sets the whole vibe for the night and like has this opportunity to like bring things up, and basically like you are prepping that crowd to be ready, for either when the second act goes on or when the headliner is going on. And so being able to sort of read how people are, what they're doing, how to bring them up, how to bring them back down. And I mean, and that's for like when it's your own set, like your own stuff. But I think even like just for club DJing too, I think it's incredibly important. Any club that if you ever play in, and if there's, you got to look around and see like, is what you're going to play about to start a fight? So, is what you're going to play at the end of the night? Like you want people to leave the end of the night on a good note. Like you want people loving each other at the end of the night, not fighting at the end of the night. Is the fire marshal coming in? Okay, well, you need to kind of float people towards the bar, instead of having everybody be packed on the dance floor. So being able to just kind of read people and what they do and when you think they're going to be able to do it and knowing what's going to trigger them to do what you want is key. So just like watching and stuff.
Dre actually DJ'd my wedding.
Oh, that's lit.
So that was crazy. And she read the room perfect, Had my aunts and my grandma all like locked in, so.
That's awesome.
I just want to go on record too. You are the only wedding that I have ever DJ'd. I typically do not do them, but when you called me, I was like, all right.
It was cool because we collabed on the track list too, and it was like,
you had to.
Yeah. We're musicians, so it's not like, hey, Dre, can you do your thing? Okay, cool. Thanks. We're getting married.
It was really intentional, like really sending songs. Really, yeah. You only get one, so yeah, that's fire. So okay, this is a personal question I have. Then after this one, just before we close out, so there's cities like Memphis, Atlanta, Detroit. It seems like they figured it out and they know how to move with some unity, which allows them to move faster and create a spotlight on their city. How can we unify here in Grand Rapids to get to the next level? And do you think it's possible here?
I do think it's possible here. So I have like a whole vision for what I personally think Grand Rapids could be. I think that we are uniquely situated, like between Detroit and Chicago. And I always tell people this. I've had been in meetings and people ask what do you think is the thing that could put Grand Rapids on the map, creatively? And I always tell people, imagine what Michigan would have been like if Motown never left. So if we had that anchor thing, that sort of stayed, and don't get me wrong, Detroit's still popping, it's not like it's not. But however, had Motown stayed, I think we would be creative arts would be one of our biggest exports, and people will be talking about that right along with mobility, right along with healthcare and manufacturing and all that. So I think that we geographically are placed in a really good spot, but I also think that what we need is, frankly, some real economic development that is focused on growing the creative industry here. But we need something to anchor it down. I hope it ends up being Opnr. But I think we do need something though to anchor it down, because once you have one thing that sort of becomes a hub, it's so much easier for other people to spin up, different things, different creative studios, then fashion brands, then film and video and music. All this stuff starts to kind of coalesce and work together. It's so much easier when you have one thing that can kind of anchor it down. So yes, I think it's entirely possible. It's going to take some work and it's definitely going to take some cash, but we can do it.
Yeah, and on a ground level perspective, just just the individuals, exactly, rather than the idea itself. I would say, and I hate saying this, but it's true. And you guys, sometimes you have to adapt to what the city's culture, just how it is. It's important to leave and come back. Something that I did, I left and came back, but my grandpa, I always talk about my grandpa, I had both of them. They were always, my other grandpa, he would always say, when you leave, be sure to take the seeds that you bring or that you planted, because those same seeds will plant the same plant, and wherever you go, you can plant that same plant. And I think that if you leave Grand Rapids, you leave with a little bit of Grand Rapids in you, and you're in LA, you're in New York, you're in Chicago, Detroit, London, doing things how you've always done it, but in a forward-thinking way, I would say. And what I've learned coming back from experience is that you come back inspired because you learn you get tools on how to bring people together, and feel like they're a part of something. And that's one thing I think Grand Rapids gets overlooked a bit, and because we are a place that births a lot of greats, but we can't keep them. You know what I mean? Like, you know, and I think that if we change that narrative by actually returning, then I mean, you know, people, they'll come back with money, resources, ideas. You'll feel like you're, like I said, a part of something. You know, I don't ever want to I've never downplayed Grand Rapids when I left. A lot of people do.
Yeah,
they leave.
that.
Oh no, Grand Rapids. Like, you guys are missing out. This place is a great place. You know, until they come back. You know, like, oh well, yeah, I understand now. You know.
I appreciate both the insight, and yeah, I just think also too, yeah, like collaboration, even identity. Earlier you spoke on, like, it'd be dope if we have like like a sports team, a major one, like tethered to in the future. Of course, that comes with, you know, capital, a lot of that. You know, distinct sound too. Not trying to like be like any other city too. Like, let's really be individuals, be unique, be proud of where we're from. And I think we have all the like tools necessary to have like our own unique fingerprint, but we just need to really embrace, you know, where we're from. We need to embrace, you know, our own, there's different geographical locations that you may hear in music in other cities and things like that. Like, you hear it in some artists out of the city as well. So yeah, just keep to embrace it. Like, and I'm big on like, yeah, don't be, you know, talk down on like where you're from. It's like, silly, you can get away, you know, come back and bring it back, but you're from here. It taught you a lot. You know, you learn how to hustle here. You learn how to just evolve and grow. So, and then I feel like it's a duty too, if you do get the opportunity to go somewhere else, you know, come back, make it better for the next generation too. So, yeah, thank you for the input on everything. So yeah, my final question is just, as we head into the new year, what is your main focus for 2025? For me, it's discipline and action, you know, talking less, doing more, thinking critically, but not overthinking anything, just going. Like, yeah, like, it's just, you have an idea, try it, you know, get a small win and build with momentum. And it's like, I've done that this year, and it's been cool, and I just want to turn it up to a whole new level in 2025. So yeah, I'm curious, what's your focus for the new year?
I think for this year, for us, it was mostly about like strategy and laying a lot of groundwork, like planning and all that. So next year is execution, collaboration, partnering wherever we can, because we can't do everything by ourselves. But like even with events and stuff like this, like, I've already been talking to, you know, a lot of people that are in this room about things that we're gonna be working on next year, like cool, like dope ideas and stuff that we already have. So I'm really excited about 2025, especially since we'll actually have some money to work with finally. So yeah, I think next year is just gonna be about basically putting into action everything that we've like just been waiting to do. So.
Love it.
My answer is like two-parted. I would say introspective and outer. Inside looking out, just want to just make sure that I'm like available. I have been, but just be more of a helping hand for people. And cause I know a lot of people need help, you know, they need, literally, you know what I mean? Like, and when I say that, like, sometimes you get a text or a call, or someone's like, hey, can you do this? And then sometimes you're like, well, nothing comes from this sometimes. You know, you pick and choose who to help, because sometimes that's the thing. Some people can waste your time, and that's the reality.
Yeah, it is.
But the other introspective part, and this is funny, being less humble.
Yeah.
I've been too modest for too long.
Grand Rapids trait, by the way. Michigan, especially some Midwest trait.
Yeah, just popping my, you know.
You got to pop it, right? You got to pop it.
I feel like I'm Kendrick. I feel Kendrick has been speaking to me.
Yeah.
Wow, you know. If you listen to that song, Man at the Garden, that song just turned me up. I was like, yeah, that's me. That's me right there.
Oh, great. Wow. This has been a great conversation. You have one question? We'll take one. Yeah, for sure. No, you good. We'll take it.
Two-part question. What are you looking forward to most first quarter 2025? And what's your favorite way to celebrate your wins?
That's a good one. That's good.
Okay, so first quarter 2025, everything is, I've got stuff tied to milestones around growth. So pretty much everything is tied to different ways that we can either collaborate with other companies, other organizations, other communities to get as many musicians and as many music venues, promoters, and festivals onboarded onto our platform as humanly possible. We have we got some pretty aggressive goals in Q1, but also we're going to be leveraging a partnership that we have down at South by Southwest to do a lot of that. But we got some other things too that are going to kind of fill in there that'll push us forward. What was the second part? Oh, celebrating wins. How do I celebrate wins? That is a good question, because I feel like what usually happens is I get real hype when something great happens, and then 5 seconds later I move on to the next thing that needs to be done. So I don't know. Maybe that's something that I need to work on for 2025, is actually taking some time out to celebrate the win, because I tend to move on quick and then raise the bar and then stress out about the next thing that I'm supposed to be doing.
First quarter. Going on tour with K-Tronada. I don't know if you guys know who K-Tronada is.
Yeah,
No,
that's
we
dope.
don't know.
We're going on tour in April in Europe, and this isn't the first time I've toured with them, but this is the biggest tour that we've done, because we're all managed by the same team and stuff. And so, yeah, this is a big win for all of us, because we got full production. Some of the shows are like 12,000 people. It's crazy.
Wow.
So this is big for me.
Yeah.
And to celebrate just my wins, rest. I'm big on obviously I'm big on family. I'm a family guy, but just had a conversation with my wife, and I'm like, yo, you deserve some rest, because you've sacrificed a lot for all of us. So she's getting rest. She's gonna have the beginning of the year, she's chilling, So yeah. So I'm celebrating by her happiness, Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Well, I got to answer. I feel like my biggest focus for Q1 is I really want to do a lot more, focus on in real life experiences. I get, online and things like that, which are key, but, more events like this where I'm kind of shifting the company more so. Of course, there, a lot of clothing releases are going to be happening, but doing more community focused events to really focus on that, serving artists and entrepreneurs, making those connections, and just really adding a new layer to CRANIUM, so you understand, when I say don't just dream, make it happen. Okay, we have these conversations, you really understand what it takes behind the scenes of running something, or, the mindset it takes to block out negativity and things like that. So it just adds more context to, what the lifestyle and mindset and what CRANIUM is all about. So yeah, big on community, big on more consistency with, new drops, and then even when it comes to, more even some pop-ups in, various cities around, the US, just to have those personal connections. I think that goes a lot further, because you can really connect with people in person. You can really listen to someone. You can really make an impact, and then they, just in a genuine way, they'll become ambassadors for, the feeling that you gave them. So that's my biggest thing. And yeah, celebrating wins is celebrating a win is I'm in a mode where I'm just really hyper focused, really just locked in on getting myself to that next level. But yeah, I kick it with my fam. I'll take for my birthday, I went to Complex Con with my homies, and that was a super cool experience. Still is a work balance, but it was let's have some drink, let's chill, let's take a trip. I'm planning a trip with my cousins in the new year to go to somewhere in South America or something like that. So it's just those are the biggest things, taking that valuable time with friends and, spend some money, and you get such a new experience around that. So that's how I celebrate it for me. Yeah, thank you for the question. And thank you to our sponsors, Stockton Bar Vodka, The Good Life, Money Coach. They really allowed us to, help make this happen. Shout out Start Garden for this space. Shout out to every single person here for being here. Hey, I didn't see it the whole time. Yeah, the whole family. And Yeah, just a blessing, more gratitude, and I just hope that, you know, everything that you envision for yourself, genuinely, everything you've written down, everything you've, you know, prayed for, everything that I just hope you really get everything you want in 2025 and you put your dreams into action and, you know, make it happen. So thank you for coming to CRANIUM Frequency. You know, the first will have many more, and big love again.